Hey everyone, this is DW's Darius and welcome to the Fishroom. So if you're new to the channel, this is my basement where I keep several different aquariums, house the fish from all over the world. And today is going to be the day that I go around to each aquarium and show you guys what's inside and what I plan to do with some of the fish inside of these tanks. So let's just get straight to it, and we're going to start all the way over here with my 125 gallon African Cichlid tank. Now as always with this tank, I'm very pleased with the results. Now for those of you who may be seeing this tank for the first time, look at that, we got some Victorian battle going on right now. But for those of you who are seeing this tank for the first time, this tank is being ran off of for filtration of Flu FX6. I have 3D background from Universal Rocks. These two are just going at it. It's not really common that they go at it that much, but yeah. But yeah, 3D background from Universal Rocks. And I'm loving this aquarium. Now, the only thing different from the last time I showed you guys this tank is the root system growing in my pothos. So I have some pothos at the top of this tank, and you can see it's producing a ton of roots. Now initially I didn't really like it because I thought it was taken away from the overall look of the tank, but it seems like the fish, they really enjoy it. I see fish all the time hiding up in there, and you know those long roots are showing that the pothos is consuming a lot of waste, a lot of nitrates, and just making this water a lot more cleaner. So I definitely enjoy that. Another thing I learned that my larger frontosa cichlid, I have two of these frontosa cichlids in this tank, but this one right here in the center of the screen, which is about 7 inches, I just found out that this is a female, and that is a big letdown because females really don't get as big as males. But even for a female, she definitely looks good. I found out that she was a female because she was holding eggs in her mouth. But yeah, she's a female, so that's new. Other than that, some of my favorite fish in the aquarium include the Narii, who is just fighting this guy in the center, and my flame back over here. I love these two Victorian cichlids. Just that red is just absolutely amazing, and the fact that the Narii to the right has a combo of red and black, while the flameback has a combo of red and silver. Just definitely some awesome fish. I love my electric blue Ali, but he's a little bit shy, so that takes away a little bit from my favor with him. And then we have this OB peacock to the right, which is looking very stunning, and just a very enjoyable fish. The clown loaches are still doing awesome. My big clown loach, for those of you who follow the channel, he's still growing, but at the same time he's still very shy, so I probably won't get him on camera. But this guy in front of the screen, that clown loach, he's about 6 inches, and I have a clown loach behind this rock over here, which is about maybe 4 times bigger than him. So it's definitely an awesome fish. And eventually I want to figure out a way to just promote the clown loaches a little bit more. I may be considering removing most of these African cichlids and just making it so that this is no longer an African cichlid tank, but rather a tank to just hold my clown loaches, where the clown loaches will be the main fish. But you know, that's just a thought, an idea. Time will tell what I will do with this aquarium, but as of today, I'm enjoying it a lot. After that, we have my 40 gallon reef aquarium. Now I'm always amazed when I consider this tank and just the results that I get compared to the amount of money I put in. This tank, I have all your standard equipment for your freshwater aquariums, and yet I'm still getting a ton of success. I know a lot of people, they put a lot of money into equipment. Some people spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on equipment for reef aquariums, while me, I have all my basic tools and I still love the results that I'm getting. So for filtration, just a simple AquaClear 75. I have 2 circulation pumps. I have a Galaxy Hydro LED, and then I have 2 DIY refugiums, and I'm getting a ton of success. So when it comes to fish, I have a standard clownfish. You can see, let me brighten things up a little bit. You can see him right there. Above him, I have a platinum clownfish, which is my favorite fish in the tank. I have a coral beauty angelfish over there. I have a pajama cardinal. You can see him under a rock. And I also have another pajama cardinal. And that's pretty much it with fish. I really don't need a lot of fish because there's just so much other life in this tank. Then when it comes to corals, I'm having a lot of success. The only bad thing is that this tank is only 40 gallons, only about 3 feet long, and just overall not a lot of space for these corals to actually grow. So because of that, they're fighting. Now I want to give you guys a look from above. I turned off all the circulation so that you can see a little bit better. But when you look from above, you get a better idea at what's going on. So firstly, my favorite corals are on the left side of the tank. This red coral over here is my Montipora, which is one of my favorites. You can see the mix of zoas down there. The trumpet coral doing nicely. Another species of trumpet coral, the star polyps. And pretty much this whole side is my favorite side. Down here you can see I have a rock flower anemone, another one right there, some mushrooms, a carpet anemone down there, and I love this side of the tank. Now when we come over to this side, I still have some corals that I love, like right here, this Duncan coral, the star polyps back there, this lepta coral. But these yellow polyps are just so dominant and they're trying to kill everything. Now the way they kill everything is they just climb on top of these corals and they block out all the light and they squeeze them and just take out all the nutrients, and they're trying to do that to the entire tank. You can see these yellow polyps are everywhere, they're filling up every gap and they're just fighting to take over this tank. So one day I'm going to have to go for the second time and use something to scrape them off these rocks. And that's the thing, you can't just pluck them off the rock. You actually have to go and scrape them and scratch them and just do all this, make all this effort to get them out the tank. And sometimes these corals, they give off chemicals that can harm the fish and other corals. So definitely not a fun process, but I'm going to have to do it because if not, these yellow polyps are going to take over. And I guess that's one of the downfalls of a lot of success in a small tank. The corals grow, but they really don't have too much space. But other than that, once again, I'm always amazed at how much success I get compared to the little bit of effort that I have to put into this tank. So definitely a very awesome tank to have in a fish room. After that, we have my 125-gallon planted aquarium. Now I think that this is actually the first time I'm showing you guys this tank since it's been set up like this. So this is pretty much the equivalent of my old 75-gallon planted tank, my 55-gallon planted tank, and my 20-gallon planted tank all combined into one. Now initially the idea was nice. My idea was to have these clay pots and just a nice bushy effect. However, things did not turn out as according to plan. Firstly with fish, my ghost knife, he's living inside this aquarium as well. Previously when he was inside the 75, he was very calm, very docile. He lived with small fish with no problems. But when I added all the fish in this aquarium, he turned into a monster. And he pretty much ate all my small fish. So he ate about 30 harlequin rasbora, my dwarf puffer, some of my smaller tetra. They were all gone, and I noticed them disappearing slowly. And the only thing I could think of was that my ghost knife ate them. So he's still in this aquarium, but I'm trying to catch him out. Eventually when I do catch him, he will be added to this aquarium. But yeah, that was the big, that was the first problem with this tank. After that, my plants, they're not really doing too well. And that's because previously most of these plants came from my 55-gallon tank. And in the tank I had a lot of dirt for the substrate. And in this tank I have Eco Complete. And that's kind of a big downgrade for the plants. So now they're showing the results of that downgrade. So if you take a closer look, this Amazon sword, it has a lot of holes in it, a lot of ripped leaves. If we look at this Cryptoralis, a lot of yellow leaves, and the plants are now happy with this Eco Complete. Now the thing is, this Eco Complete over time, it will build up nutrients, it will build up a lot of ways to just be a little bit more better for these root feeding plants, but it will take time. So I'm not sure if these plants are going to be able to make it that long. If they do continue to decay, I may eventually take them out and swap them for plants that feed more on the water nutrients rather than the nutrients in the substrate. But yeah, with this tank, not really as grand as I would have liked. But the overall aquascape, I tried to go a little bit different compared to normal. Usually I try to stick to natural things like rocks and driftwood and stuff like that. But I had this one clay pot just sitting around, so I decided to use it. And I thought it was necessary to add a few more. I like the look of it, and the idea would have been the orange clay pots against the green forest-like aquarium. I just need to get the plants and everything working right. Other than that, when it comes to fish, I have my electric blue acara, which is my favorite fish of the tank. Just love his color and just his overall personality. The discus also doing very well. So far I only have two. You can see this guy in the front looking very nice. But his brother back there in the back, I'm not sure if it's male or female, but I'm just going to call it his brother. He's not really doing too well, and that's because these discus are very competitive. But these guys is either you keep one, you keep a mated pair, or you keep a colony. If you keep 2, 3, and they're not mated, the most dominant is going to be hard on the rest. And that's pretty much the problem that I'm dealing with this guy. So I'm not sure if in the future I want to get more discus, or if I'm just going to leave him as the sole discus of the tank. I have these torpedo bars, definitely looking awesome. I have my yo-yo loaches. You can see one right there on the rock, one over here to the left. I also have some Corridorus. In the future, I do want to add some more Corridorus because those are just some awesome fish. And yeah, that's pretty much the goals of this tank as of today. Directly beneath my planted aquarium, I have this 55-gallon growout aquarium. And this tank is just flooded with potential. I mean, the diversity of fish, the potential of these fish is just amazing. Now, I really don't want to waste too much time going into all the detail about these fish, so I may do that in a different video. But for these fish, as I list them, I will be putting pictures of how these fish could look as adults, and you'll definitely be amazed at some of the fish in this aquarium. But first, the most common fish is green Terra. Initially, I was going to get rid of her because she is a female. Females don't get as big. But look at how much color this female is showing. Now, she just laid eggs last week, and this color is insane. I've never seen a female green Terra with this much color. So because of that, I will be looking for a male, and eventually I will have myself a top of the line, beautiful green Terra pair. But other than that, some of these other fish, Geophagus, pearl scale Geophagus right here. This guy is wild caught. I have a captive bred Geophagus pearl scale over here. I have this tiny little guy in the front is a pear-sized cichlid. These three other small guys are now tilapia. Keep in mind, these are the same tilapia commonly sold at your supermarket. Yes, the same tilapia that most people eat. Over here I have a red shouldered severum. I have a Lima shovel-nosed catfish. I have a Calypterus and Lecheri bichir. I also have a Vieja, I forgot the specific name, but I'll post a picture and show you guys the full name. And I have a pair of plecos. So yeah, if you go online, if you Google those names, no denying that this tank is flooded with potential. Next, we have a 75-gallon native tank. All the fish in this tank come from nearby lakes and rivers here in New Jersey. I love the scape of this tank. I love the way this driftwood sits across the bottom. The fish love it as well. They love to swim in it, under it, around it. Same thing with this back piece. The back piece is pretty hollow, so they could go all along in the back of it. They could go inside of it. And I love the way it twists, and just overall, the way this driftwood fits is just amazing. I also love this Anacris. Anacris is also native to New Jersey. And since I made that last video, I'm not sure if you can notice it, but I also have some decent growth on this Anacris after just being in this tank for about maybe a week and some change. But yeah, with fish, I have some pumpkin seed sunfish. This big guy is a pumpkin seed. Looks pretty cool. He's one of 3 in this aquarium. The only thing is that these guys are pretty aggressive. They're just like cichlids, so because this guy is very aggressive, he keeps the other pumpkin seeds hiding. I was just debating whether or not I should take him out because this guy is the biggest in the aquarium and he is very hard on my other pumpkin seeds. I was maybe going to take him out and put him in a pond, and that way all the other fish in the aquarium are around the same size so they could pretty much be equal. Look at this guy. I love how much color he shows. He's a pumpkin seed as well. If I was to take the big guy out, this guy would become dominant, and it would just be a little bit more fair for the other fish because they would be all around the same size. So I'm considering whether or not I should take the big guy out. Other than that, I also have some bluegills. The bluegills don't really show as much color, but I love their stripes. You can see this bluegill right here. And just overall, so far, this tank is very enjoyable. Of course, this is a work in progress. As the fish grow up, I may have to take some of them out because these fish, once again, are pretty aggressive towards each other. And I know a lot of people with native tanks, they go and stuff the tanks because the fish are free. But I want the best results. I want the most amount of color. And the best way to do that is to keep things the same way I would keep it in all my other aquariums. So I'm not going to overcrowd it. So eventually, as the fish grow up, I will be taking some out. I'm trying to get as much color as possible. So I'm probably going to be left with only these pumpkin seeds. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying this tank and it's just very nice to watch. Right next door we have my 29-gallon Hillstream aquarium. The cool thing about this tank along with my native tank is that both of these tanks don't require heaters. The native fish obviously can handle the colder temperatures, and these guys also are subtropical, which means that they can handle temperatures as low as 65 degrees Fahrenheit, which this basement really doesn't get too much colder than that. So the fish in this aquarium include my Hillstream loaches, those 2 fish on the rock. I have about 6 of them. I also have some leopard Daniel, this guy right here in the center. I have a few white cloud minnows. I have some Florida native American flag killifish, these 2 guys in the back. Now I bought them because these guys are known to be hair algae eaters, and right, he might show you, so you see right there. That's the reason why I bought these fish, because these guys just non-stop eat hair algae, and that's just awesome. And I also have 2 freshwater neon gobies. The female just came out. That's the female, and the male is about twice the size, but he likes to stay in this rockwork, so he might not come out. And then I have like 1,000 Malaysian trumpet snails everywhere. But yeah, loving this tank, easy to maintain, and I'm glad to announce that my Asian clams, right there, you can see a clam right there. I have about 5 of them, and all of them are still alive. And that's good news, because clams, usually people buy clams and maybe in like a month they end up dead. And that's because clams, they feed on specific small microorganisms, small algae and other small things. They don't eat waste. I used to believe before I bought them that they eat waste, but that's not true. They eat algae and just other small particles in the water. So pretty much in order to keep clams alive, you need somewhat of a dirty tank. You can't have pristine water. Now, even though my water is nice and crystal clear, it's still a little bit dirty, which is able to keep these clams alive. You can see I have the algae in the background. I think all the algae, because I allow the algae to build up so much, so many different types of algae, and you know, there's microscopic algae floating around, other live bacteria floating around, and all this, the clams at night, you can see them stick up their you see one right there. But at night they stick out like their fin. They don't have fins, but they stick out a certain part of their body. I'm not an expert on the different parts of clams' bodies, but they stick out a little limb and filter feed on different things floating. And yeah, 5 months later, and they are still alive. Most of them are buried in the substrate, but if I go digging around, they will come out. But I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I'm glad to know that my clams are still alive. Just showing that this tank is it's just awesome, because in most aquariums, clams are just very hard to take care of. Other than that, I have some Ludwigia, this plant right here. And the only reason why this plant is in a tank is because I tried to grow it in another tank and it just wasn't being too successful. 1, because the fish in the tank was bothering it, and 2, because there just wasn't enough light in the tank. And here, it is looking very good. And I'm thinking that because I have this plant in a tank, it may help for my Hillstream loaches to breed again. Before they bred, you can see one of the previous babies right here on the rock. And the last time they bred was when I had plants in the tank. I took out plants. I didn't get any breeding action, and that's because the babies, they hide within the plants. So I'm hoping that with new plants, they could breed and the babies can stay safe in the plants. And the only fish in this tank that will eat the babies are these free swimmers fish, these Daniel, minnows, and of course those flagfish. And here's a quick look at the male neon blue goby. He's in there taking a peek. And right next to that, we have this sideways 20-gallon aquarium. Now, this was intended to be my hospital tank, but you know, with me, whenever I have a tank set up, I just can't resist putting fish in it. So I have some baby bristlenose plecos that I pulled from my pair. I have, you can see one right there is about maybe 1.5 inches. I have 10 of them all together, and they're just growing out in here. But I do have to get rid of them because there are some fish I want to treat in this aquarium. And you know, it's just good always to have a spare hospital tank. So these guys will be taken out pretty soon, and this tank will either be treating some sick fish or just empty on standby in case I get sick fish. And of course, the largest of all my aquariums, my 350-gallon acrylic aquarium. Now, I don't think there's a big need to go into great detail because I just tossed out a bunch of videos about this aquarium. But just a quick update, everything now is just pretty much calm, pretty much peaceful. So when it comes to the fish, the red devil, when I'm not in front of the glass, right now I'm in front of the glass, so he's like focusing on me a little bit. But when I'm not in front of the glass, he spends his entire day just over here digging. You can see some of the pits. Now, yesterday was water change day. I did a water change, and every week I do a water change and I fill up his gaps. Everything that he digs, I refill it, and it just keeps him occupied throughout the week. And I think that helps with aggression, because instead of being aggressive towards everybody else, he's too busy digging out his pits. And I'm just very pleased with his overall peacefulness. Flag-tailed Cichlid is just a very beautiful, awesome fish. Definitely one of my top 5. I love his color, I love his behavior. Peaceful fish, and he spends the majority of his day just grazing on algae on the rocks and just being an awesome fish. The peacock bass, they're doing their thing. Not really showing too much color because they, that was a nice yawn. But they're not really showing too much color. They only show color when they're like going at it with each other. But right now, because they're doing their own thing, you're really not getting a ton of color, but still very enjoyable fish. The Oscar, no doubt, very enjoyable fish. Calm to himself. That's one of the best things about this aquarium. So much peace. I love a peaceful aquarium, and this tank is absolutely peaceful. So arowana, just nice and calm. Nice slow swim, just very enjoyable. Right now this guy is maybe about 15, 16 inches, so he's definitely growing in his tank. Then we have this little guy, this peacock bass right here, Cichlid celeris. Now I've been trying to get this guy on pellets, so what I've been doing was starving him. I haven't fed him a feeder in 2 weeks, and yet this guy is still refusing to eat pellets. So definitely very stubborn. I'd say I'd probably give him about 2 more weeks, and if he doesn't take on the pellets, I'm not only offering pellets, I'm also offering raw fish, raw shrimp, and everything like that. But he's still being very stubborn, so I want to give him maybe about 2 more weeks, and then I may give in and just go back to feeders until he gets a little bit bigger, and then try it again. And then lastly, the catfish, they're doing their thing, being nocturnal. Right before I started recording, they were actually swinging around, but of course, me with the camera in front of the glass, they're gonna hide. But this tank is just awesome. Look at the peacock bass. They're showing a little bit more color because they're next to each other, and you know they have that competition between each other. But yeah, this tank is just #1. Okay everyone, so this right here is the final tank. This right here is my 210 gallon aquarium. This tank not being in the basement, it is on the main level, and my main display tank. So right now, the tank isn't really the best as I would like it, and that's just because the fish in the aquarium are a little bit shy. Let me brighten things up for you guys. So let me give you guys a closer look at what's going on. So firstly, I love the scape of this tank. This piece of wood came from a nearby lake. All my stuff is natural, come from nearby lakes, rivers, and streams. And I definitely love the way the scape came out. I just wish the fish were a little bit more friendly with me, the fish keeper, because usually when we come in front of this tank, they do go run and hide. And being that this is my main display tank, that definitely is not okay. But some of the fish include a pair of Jack Dempsey cichlids. Now eventually I do want to bring these guys into the basement so that they can breed. They definitely want to breed. The female, she's always digging around a nest. So eventually I do want to get them in their own aquarium so that they can breed. I also have my male Feste. You remember he was in the basement. Now in the basement he was showing a nice gold coloration, but up here he doesn't like this tank mainly because that guy in the back, you can't see it, but back there is a severum, and the severum is more dominant, so that causes him to show this coloration. But I actually don't mind this coloration. I think he looks pretty cool. And when he was downstairs in the basement, he showed more of a goldish coloration. Up here he shows these stripes, and I definitely like the way the stripes look. And if we take a couple of steps back, you can't notice it, but I think his stripes fit in better with this scape compared to his yellow version. But being that he's showing stripes, he's definitely not happy, and because he's not happy, I'm not happy. So eventually I do want to try to add him to the basement, but as of now he's too aggressive, so he's staying up here. The Cuban cichlid, one of my favorite fish. She's just always in front of the glass, always begging for food, and always looking awesome. We have a Viejas and the Spillum over there. All these fish are in the shadow, so you really can't see them too well. I have silver dollars, some spotted silver dollars, some striped silver dollars, some Messelharris, another cichlids over there, and pretty much the goal with this tank is just to make it a little bit more lively with fish, the same way that Cuban cichlid is right there in the center, just brave and just in front of everybody. I want all the fish to be like that, so it's definitely a work in process. Oh, I forgot to show you guys the bitchers, one of which is right here, and then I also have an Enlacheri up here. But yeah, the goal with this tank is just to make it a little bit more lively, to get a little bit more bolder fish, just like the Cuban cichlid. So to do that, what I plan on doing is just bringing up some of my larger fish. As I said before, I do want the red devil to come back up here, but I need some of these smaller fish to grow up a little bit because he will be a little bit hard on them. And yeah, it's just a matter of mixing around, taking fish up, taking fish down, and just until I find that perfect balance of fish that are bold and looking awesome. Just like this Feste. But yeah, that's a look at the 210. Not really looking the best as far as fish, but once again, I love the scape. Okay everyone, lastly I want to give you guys a quick look at the pond. Got a rainy day today. This year we got like, I think it was like 56 inches of rain here in New Jersey, so definitely a good rainy season. I know a lot of people don't like the rain, but for a person in the fish keeping hobby that uses so much water as I do, I definitely love the rain. But here's the pond. I have this net over here to catch some of the leaves. Now all the leaves, or most of the leaves from this thing are down. I have to wait for this tree now, and that tree, and these guys have just so many leaves. But yeah, once those come down, I'm gonna be taking off this net. But yeah, koi fish doing awesome. The temperature is a little bit cooler, so their activity level is slightly lower, but they're still doing awesome. And I guess I'll finish out the video with feeding. So now I'm feeding a food that's better for fall and spring. This food right here is Dr. Foster and Smith fall and spring variety, and the thing is, this stuff is made out of wheat, and because these fish, when at cooler temperatures, these fish, they slow down when it comes to their metabolism, so it's better to feed them wheat because they can digest it a little bit better. So I'm going to sit that down, put that up, and just a quick toss. You can see, always nice to watch the koi come and feed. But yeah, everybody, that's been a look at some of my aquatics. As always, if you like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments about anything you saw today, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. If you want more, make sure you subscribe, because you know I have a lot more for you guys. And thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. I'll catch you guys on the next one.